Hi guys, Michael Fights with Friends, and I need to hurry up and get this out because we are actually going to start streaming at 4 p.m. tonight. That's when the prelims start, and the prelims will be here on Fights with Friends. So make sure and tune in at 4 p.m. We're going to actually be able to show the fights, not the main card, which will be on NBC Sports, but the prelims. Let's start out the most interesting fights of the night, though. Kayla Harrison versus Jozette Cotton, of course. I already did a video promo on that fight. I do believe Kayla Harrison wins that one pretty easily, and I'm calling her by first round submission. Let's take a little longer into these next fights. Jake Shields versus Herman Terrado. This is a crossroads fight if there ever has been one for Jake Shields. He met a man on a destruction mission in his last fight in the PFL against Ray Cooper III. Ray was actually on a revenge mission for his father. Jake Shields fought Ray Cooper III's father, in 2004 in Shudo. Jake Shields choked him out in the first round. Ray Cooper III said he would get revenge. He did beat Jake Shields. He knocked him out in the second round. One of the things that I have been talking about for the last year, and you guys are probably sick of me hearing it though, is fighters throwing that low kick. And people talk about there being no counter to it. Well, when so many fighters throw that low kick from the orthodox stance, and they tend to leave that hand way down, and they put their body at a very awkward angle. Ray Cooper III capitalized on this unlike I have seen anybody capitalize on it. Jay Shields got tagged, and he got beaten down. That being said, Jake Shields is one of the best 170-pound fighters probably to ever step into a combat cage. He has victories over Carlos Condit, Yushin Okami, Paul Daly, current champion Tyrone Woodley, Damian Maia, Brian Foster, and legend Dan Henderson. Only the reign of George St. Pierre kept him from seeing UFC gold. He went the distance with GSP, and there was actually some controversy about GSP's raps that night. Unfortunately for Jake, that was 7 years ago. He is no longer a young man at 39 years old, and his body's been taxed with 44 tough fights. This guy never took an easy fight. He said that if he loses tonight at PFL 6, he will retire. Herman Terrado comes into this on the other side of the tracks. He's still got youth on his side. He's 28 years old. Less than half of his fights, less than half the fights of Jake Shields at only 20. He's got tremendous finishing power. In his 15 wins, he's knocked 8 guys out, 6 submissions. Only one of his wins went the distance. The competition he faced, however, has not been world class. His 2 claims to fame basically were a first-round knockout of A.J. Matthews back in 2011 in Strikeforce, and going the distance with judo expert Rick Hahn in Bellator in 2013. He lost that fight by unanimous decision. So the question in this all comes down to Jake Shields' chin. Did he get old overnight? I don't know. The Cooper fight was the first time that he's been knocked out since 2011 when he was knocked out by Jake Ellenberger. So I think that he has one more in him, especially against the less experienced Herman Terrado. Terrado is just 1-2-1 when fights go the distance. He was submitted 2 weeks ago at PFL 5 against Magomedkerimov. I say Jake wins by unanimous decision, but Terrado had better keep his neck up because Jake could definitely choke him out. Next fight here, Rick the Horror Story versus Carlton Minus. Carlton Minus 9-0. He's got 6 knockouts coming into this. He fought all of those fights under the AFC banner. He's just 25 years old, and he comes in with that undefeated confidence and swagger. All 6 of his knockouts have come inside the first round. Rick Story, of course, no stranger to you guys. He's been a UFC staple for years. He fought 19 times for the UFC over a 7-year stretch. Many wondered, including me, until I looked into it, where in the world did Rick Story go after 2016? He was knocked out in 2016 by Donald Cerrone, but he was coming off a 3-fight winning streak, which included wins over Gunnar Nelson and Tarek Saffiedine. Well, the UFC had actually already offered Rick a contract extension prior to the Cerrone fight. As fighters do, they're overconfident, maybe overconfident in their own skills. He believed he would win the Cerrone fight and get more bargaining leverage after that win. When that didn't happen, Rick actually walked away from the bargaining table, walked away from MMA. After being knocked out in the second round, even though he was only 31, he said he began to think about his career after fighting. He had always wanted to be a firefighter, so he took the time, went back, got his training, became certified in that. Now he says that he doesn't fear what he will do after his fighting career. He doesn't have that fear of one punch taking away his ability to earn an income. So he thinks he comes in more loose now. He came back to MMA for this tournament on July 5th. Looked very fresh. No ring rust against the tough Yuri Villefort, earning a unanimous decision. I see Rick being victorious again today. It's hard to say how, being his opponent hasn't lost. Rick does need to be careful in the first round against Minus, but if he gets through that first round, I feel he's just too much for Minus at this point in his career. I have a feeling Rick might pull off a submission in the second or third round. If not, definitely unanimous decision. I'd be very surprised to see Rick Story lose this fight. Jonatan Westin versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov is our next fight. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, of course, the younger brother of Khabib. Jonatan Westin comes into this fight with a record of 10-3, 9 finishes, 5 by knockout, and 4 by submission. He fought for 8 organizations to do that, though, before coming into this organization tournament. PFL was his 9th organization. He was knocked out in the last round of the tournament by Bojan Velickovic in the second round. So the younger brother of Khabib, Abubakar, came into this tournament at 14-1 with 10 finishes. He seemed bound for the UFC. He actually was signed to fight for the UFC in one bout, which fell through for a reason that was never disclosed. Unfortunately, in the first round of this tournament, he ran into jiu-jitsu guru Pavel Kusch. The guy, in 23 wins, has 20 submissions and 3 knockouts. Pavel choked out Nurmagomedov in the second round. I don't expect the Dagestani to trip again this week. Abubakar has 6 of his 14 wins by knockout, and all 3 of Westin's losses have come via knockout. Like I said, last month also he was knocked out in his first PFL match and the second. This week, I expect either a first, if not a second round knockout, as Abubakar is going to come into this pumped up with something to prove. So this brings us down to our main event. These, I believe, are the 2 fighters that are favored to win the 170-pound tournament and take home the $1 million. And I'm going to show you that devastating knockout from Ray Cooper III over Jake Shields here in a minute. As we talked about, though, Pavel Kusch is coming off that impressive win over Abubakar Nurmagomedov. In 23 wins, he has finished every opponent, 20 by submission. I'm curious at 29 years old why he's not already in the UFC. I don't know if they've contacted him. If they haven't, I think they will be soon. If he gets past Ray Cooper tonight, he is going to be my favorite to win the tournament. Getting past Ray Cooper, of course, will not be easy. We talked about him coming off that impressive win over Jake Shields. Ray Cooper is a man on a mission. He's 14-4. He's also finished his opponent in every victory, including 9 knockouts. Let's take a second and look at that victory from last week, that spectacular knockout over Jake Shields.
Very smart move. Make this guy bang. Make this guy stand with me. Nice.
Wow, that left connect.
That hurt him.
Jake Shields is in trouble.
That was a big left hook. Very short, very choppy. And Jake's feet went right out from underneath of him.
Just clipped him, and now Ray Cooper's going to hammer him home.
The referee to step in here.
That is it.
That's it right there.
Ray Cooper III says aloha.
Avenges his father's loss from 14 years ago. Pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever seen Jake Shields hurt like that.
That's some crazy power. We're going to hear a lot from Ray Cooper III. We're going to have to slow a lot of this down because, Randy, those things were quick and they found their target.
Short little punches. Very, very effective. Great sprawl, great head control, and attacked Jake Shields' neck every time he tried to get in on that single or double leg.
More than a 7,000-mile trip from the island of Oahu. Did a little training down in North Carolina, saw family. Ray Cooper III left his 3 kids behind, says he misses them and a good Hawaiian plate lunch. He's earned the right to get both now.
There's going to be a proud dad in there. Again, the smartest thing he did was step away and make him stand up. There, the fetal position, covering the head. No effective or intelligent real defense by Jake Shields. I think he was still really hurt from that hook.
You know, a lot of people talked about Ray Cooper III training with his dad, Ray Cooper Jr., and his brother Blake in their garage. Weren't going to some high-end gym or something like that. They were doing it as a family. And I'll tell you what, tonight, as Ray Cooper Jr. says hello to Jake Shields, they fought 2 times, and now it's the son. Here's where the mouthpiece came out, popped him right in the mouth. Relentless. I mean, look at this young man.
Stays right on him. Does a great job. Composed, focused, stuck with the game plan. There's the left hook. Right on the chin. Really, really well-placed shot. Right off the kick. Jake Shields tried to land the right kick. Ray Cooper III timed it perfectly.
The hammer fist came in, and wow, this kid has got a lot of sting in his gloves. Look at that.
Stays composed, doesn't get too excited, picks his shots, methodically finds a way to continue to find a way to finish this fight.
We were talking, Randy, how deep the welterweight division is in the PFL. Add the name Ray Cooper III to that list because that kid is dangerous. Willing to go to the ground with a submission artist like Jake Shields, as his father, Ray Cooper Jr., watching on, his brother Blake, the family making the trip.
So, absolutely devastating victory, as I said, again there. He's so pumped up. He said after beating Shields, he's going to win the 170-pound tournament, then go up to 185 and beat everyone there. Positive thinking can be a powerful thing. He just can't come in too overconfident. 3 of his 4 losses come way of submission by choke. I believe Ray Cooper III and Pavel Kusch are both great talents. They're 2 of the 3 greatest talents in the 170-pound tournament. However, as the fight wears on, I believe Pavel's sub-skills are just going to prove too much at this point for Ray Cooper III. My prediction is Pavel Kusch gets a submission win in the 2nd round. This has been a great tournament so far. There are a lot of playoff implications tonight. Like I said, I'm going to be streaming the prelims at 4 p.m. Then the live reaction of the main card from NBC Sports. The $10 million tournament it's been exciting. For me, it's far exceeded my expectations. I'm very excited to see Kayla Harrison fight again, Ray Cooper and Pavel Kusch, Abubakar Nurmagomedov, and all the other fighters that bring the fury in this great tournament series. I love the point system and how they reward fighters for ending fights earlier. It just creates a whole nother dynamic to this thing. Teaming with NBC Sports and Facebook, absolutely genius. This is only the first season of this thing, but World Series of Fighting, they had a great start over there. Ray Sefo is a really smart guy. He's working with a lot of other smart guys right now. I think PFL was here to stay. The playoffs are coming in October. Winter is coming. No. And then, of course, this whole thing's going to culminate with the $10 million tournament on New Year's Eve that I hope all of you are there with me for. But I will see you guys at 4 p.m. As always, I love you, I respect you, and I'll see your fine asses real soon.